Hi guys and welcome. So in this video we're going to go through the paintwork stage on a smart repair to a bumper. Now whether you're in a shop or whether you're at home sort of like doing a little DIY repair on your car, this does apply to all repairs if you're doing a little bumper corner blow in or a little smart repair on your bumper. Now the corner of this bumper has already been repaired and we've already got it pre-masked and everything in the spray booth. Now you might not have a spray booth, but as long as you've got somewhere clean and dry and well ventilated, then you could do a little job like this at home yourself quite easily. Just obviously follow the same sort of steps, sheet your car up as best you can and keep the job as clean as you can whilst you're doing it. Now the first stage that we're actually going through on this job is we're just going to give it a wipe down with some panel wipe. For you guys that aren't in the UK, that would be wax and grease remover. Now I'll do that before I mask it once all the prep work's finished, and I'll also do it again at this stage before, when I've got it in the booth and it's all masked and it's all taped up and it's all ready to go. Now once I've done that, the actual blend area for the actual clear coat, which is this section here, I'll just give that a quick tack rag off and then apply a little bit of false edge masking down this edge. Now that's just going to help us and aid us a little bit to stop us from getting that real hard edge on the clear coat when we actually put our clear coat blend in on the middle of this bumper shortly. Now I know a few people will say, right, well why don't you just paint the whole bumper, but it's good to remember that not only are all jobs different, one might be a private job, one might be a trade job, but also everyone's budget's different. For instance, something like a trader, he wants to pay a lot less than someone privately will pay, because obviously he might put say 3 to 4, maybe 5 jobs a week, or even in our case at this shop we have a trader who puts in a few jobs per day and they want a fast turnaround. We haven't got time to strip the bumper off, do a full bumper strip down and rebuild and actually get it painted and baked and everything when we're turning, you know, X amount of cars in the shop. So for something like this, which is a little trade job, it's just a quick little bumper corner blow in. It'll tidy this bumper up, and if done correctly it will last and it will look really nice. And part 2 for this will actually be how to polish out your smart repair and your clear coat blend to make sure that once this is done you have got that seamless finish on your smart repair. Now we are going to do a few more smart repair videos coming up, including for you guys that are doing things at home, a real budget £10 spray gun review, just to show that even though obviously in a shop we use obviously higher end expensive spray guns, but that you can put out a really nice job even with a cheap spray gun. Now back to the job in hand. What I'm concentrating on firstly is I'm just concentrating on this area that's been primed up on the car, and we would just want to put a little bit of colour down and colour up the actual repair itself. I'm not worried too much at this stage about trying to do my blend with a base coat or anything like that. I really just want to concentrate on colouring up the repaired area and making sure that obviously any sanding marks or anything like that, they're all covered up. So we're just going to keep it nice and short, and we're not going to go too far towards where we're going to put the actual base coat blend or the actual clear coat blend in. And one thing to be really careful of, and I will be saying this a few times in the video, is to make sure the area where you're going to put your clear coat blend is kept extremely clean. So you will see me multiple times during this job tacking off the actual clear coat blend area, because if any of your base coat lands in that clear coat blend area, when you put your clear blend in you will have a mix of not only the clear coat but also the base coat. So when you try and polish it out, it will actually leave a big metallic-y line almost down the actual bit where you put your clear coat blend, and that will be due to the fact that overspray from where you've done your clear blend, where you've done your base coat, will land in the clear blend section. The two will merge together, and then that just spells catastrophe for a job like this coming out clean and looking nice. And then you are going to be 1 into a redo and 2 into stripping the bumper off and doing a full paint on the bumper, which for a job like this on a trade job is just not something that you want to do. And as you can see here, I'm just tack ragging that clear blend area off, and you will see when I take this off that there is overspray dust on the actual area that is now on the tack rag, and you can see that visibly on the tack rag already. That is what you need to make sure that as you go along you keep off that area. So we've got that first coat of base coat down really now, and we're just going to put a few coats of base on, make sure that obviously all that repair is fully covered out, and that any sanding, you know, if we did this, was probably finish this with something like a P400, so you just make sure that any sanding marks are well covered and everything looks nice and neat and even and clean before you even go worrying about the actual blend area. Just try to concentrate on taking your paintwork and your base coat about an inch further than your final sanding marks, and just stick to that as your sort of rule of thumb for how far your paint wants to go at this stage. We can give it a nice fine little blend in a minute, but we really are just concentrating on making sure that everything's covered up and that everything looks right, and obviously that we stay well away from a blend area at this point, which is also why I'm using a minigun for this, because this is something that for you guys at home, you can get a little cheap minigun that you can do this job perfectly well with, and it will keep the overspray down to a little bit more of a minimum compared to a big gun. A lot of the times in the shop I will use a big gun for a job like this, but you do need to be that little bit more careful, and that's more where sort of time and experience on the gun comes in. So if you're doing this on a job at home, a smaller spray gun that's going to create a little bit less overspray will be more beneficial to you. And as I say, we have got a little £10 cheap smart repair spray gun review coming up, just to prove really that, you know, you really don't need a £300 spray gun to do a job like this. Now at this stage I am just putting the tiniest of little blends in on that bumper area, just to feather out that edge where I've been going up, covering them scratches, because I don't want to go mad there. This colour's been colour matched, which again, if you're doing this in sort of DIY style, you can go down to your local paint shop and have them get you a little tiny bit of colour matched base coat. That's not an issue, and then your chances of a job coming out like this are obviously that much easier, because you know you're going to have the right colour match colour to your car. Just going to a paint shop and say asking for Moondust Silver for a Ford is all fine and well, but there are a lot of different shades of every single colour out there, so it's worth just popping down to a paint shop if you do need the paint and getting them to colour match it for you, and just chip it up, and then for safety's sake you know you've got the closest shade to your car's colour. So on this little bumper corner now, we've got the base coat section out of the way, and now it's time to do clear coat. Now for this one I am using a little bit of 0300, which is the Max Meyer HS clear coat. There's a lot of different clear coats out there, and I have, in the little smart repair spray gun video, I have actually used some cheaper clear coat that you guys at home could get hold of, and that's a little bit less expensive than this stuff, to try and make it a more suitable video in the case of for you guys that are watching at home that might want to, you know, have a little play doing little jobs on your car. You might have a tiny bit of experience and you want to know, you know, what you could use and what you could get hold of. I'll be using a slightly less expensive clear coat, a more budget clear coat for that job, along with a budget spray gun, and everyday available base coat as well, so that you guys can see a full job that you would be able to get hold of all the stuff for in a less expensive way than obviously how we do it, but to show that you can get extremely good results, you know, whether you use really expensive clear coat or really expensive spray guns in a, you know, obviously like something like this, which is like a £20,000 spray booth. You could do the same sort of job at home, maybe if you've got a carport or a garage or something like that, with the same sort of products, and get a very similar finish. So I'm just going to load up the actual clear coat into the gun, and again, another good tip is to make sure that not only your guns are clean, your lines are clean and everything like that, but make sure that your paint's clean by just popping it through a strainer, because although these tubs stay sealed and obviously, you know, the products inside is supposed to be clean and free from lumps and stuff, sometimes you do get a little bit of mess around the caps and stuff like that, where a little bit of clear coat might have dried around the cap, and when you unscrew it, little bits flake off into the clear coat and things like that. So just to try and keep that job that little bit cleaner, no matter what you do, just whip it through a strainer. And I also have in all my guns an in-pot strainer as well, just to be on the safe side, a little in-pot filter. I'm not quite sure how much of a difference that makes, but with all the steps that I take on my jobs, I do manage to get nice clean jobs. So before we even start the clear coat stage, just to be 100% sure, we're going to re-tack over this whole area, and we're going to make especially sure that, again, this area here that we're going to put our clear blend in is particularly clean, because as I explained before, that is the area that we don't need any mess or anything like that. So first coat wise, we're just going to put down one nice wet coat across the bumper. You want to get a nice closed coat, but just a simple wet coat across the bumper, nothing too wet because obviously we don't want it running off the car. And we're going to go towards the masking tape, but we want to stop short. We don't want to go all the way up to that edge and hit that masking tape edge, or else we're going to end up with a horrible hard edge when we come to take the tape off. So if you stop, say, I don't know, 2 inches short of your tape, that's probably a safer bet for a beginner. For the guys that do this every day, we stop right near the edge of the tape. But if you're starting out and you're doing a little job like this, then I'd say make sure you just stop at least sort of 2 inches short, just to be on the safe side. You don't have to go as far as even 2 inches. You could stay 4 or 6 inches away from your tape. It's entirely up to you. Now, a little gauge that I use myself to tell when the clear coat's tapped off nicely after that first coat is, after a few minutes I'll go back to it and I'll just touch it with my glove. Now, if my glove starts to stick and pull away, and it just gives a little bit of pull on your glove, for me that's the point when it's perfect for putting your second coat on. Now, that first coat of clear coat just acts as a gripper coat, so that first coat wants to be a nice light wet closed coat. Your second coat can then go over a little bit heavier, so this is where your finish is going to come in. So spend that little bit of extra time, especially with something like a minigun like this that doesn't quite put as much paint out. You can go over an area a few times just to tweak your finish on the job, and as you can already see there in the reflection of that bumper corner, the finish is coming up really nice. But again, when you do this, make sure that you go to the same stage that you did before and just keep that clear coat edge just shy of that tape, because you really don't want to get a hard line down that bumper. So as we peel this away now, there'll be a nice feathered edge up towards that edge. So the final part to a job like this for me is just to whip out, empty the clear coat from my little mini jet, give it a quick rinse through, and then all I'm going to use is I'm going to put a little bit of standard 2K fast thinners in, and then spray that over that clear blend edge, just to help melt and fuse the old and new paint together slightly. This will help immensely when coming to try and polish this clear coat blend out. It'll get rid of the roughness of that edge a little bit and melt the two together nicely. You can also use 2K blending thinner. Now, 2K blending thinner is a proper thinner that's designed for actually blending your clear coat edges. Myself personally, there is a little bit of difference between the two, but for what it is and for what it costs, I don't really see the point. A little bit of 2K fast thinner like this is more than good enough to blend that edge in, because we're going to flatten polish that edge anyway, so I don't really see much point. As long as that edge is smooth enough to polish in, then for me it's good to go. So after a quick clean out and a quick fill up of 2K fast thinner, we're just going to go in, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn this fluid down, right down on the spray gun, just so I've got a really light mist of this thinners. If you spray the thinners on really wet, the first thing it's going to do is start running everywhere, and it's going to start causing problems right on that edge. So just to show here, actually put the gun across the back of the car so you can see just how much of a fine mist and spray that I have actually got there, and then we're just going to really lightly feather that across that edge. And I'll do that a couple of times using the air from the spray gun to dry it down. So that's it for part 1, guys. We're going to leave this video here. I hope you've enjoyed the information that we put in there and the little tips, things like keeping that blend area clean and that sort of thing. In part 2 we are going to cover the full polishing process, including everything that you need to polish this clear blend out to give you that, you know, nice seamless repair that you want from a paint shop quality repair. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon for part 2.